I was born in Milwaukee, born and raised in Milwaukee, and Milwaukee's kind of a blue-collar town. I was raised in sort of a middle-class, maybe lower middle-class neighborhood. My dad was a foundry worker his whole life. My mom was a retail clerk. Got married to my high school sweetheart. We had 3 kids. They're all adults now. I coached them in sports as they were growing up. At one point, I got a job at a company called Laddish, where I was a cost estimator, became a senior project manager. And there we had IFPTE Local 92. I got involved in the union right away as a newsletter reporter, and became a steward, chief steward, bargaining committee chair, finally president of the local. Through that, I got involved in the international. I was the Midwest area vice president, chair of our union's finance committee for 8 years, and then became the secretary treasurer in 1994. Held that until 2001 when I was elected as president of IFPT. Right now, the AFL-CIO is going through some tremendous financial difficulties. They mirror in a lot of ways the problems that my union was going through in 1994 when I was elected as secretary treasurer. Back then we were really facing some real disaster, not dissimilar to a lot of the things the AFL-CIO is going through right now. And what I bring to this job as secretary treasurer is 17 years of experience as a cost estimator and project manager. My 8 years as the finance chairman of my union. And then another 7.5 years as secretary treasurer of my union. Through the way we built our way out of our financial trouble, I think that's a model that the AFL-CIO can use and something I can bring to that, where we're able to hold costs down, bring power to the affiliates rather than draw things from them, and at the same time build. So we were able to build the size of our organization, build power with our organization, and still hold the per capita down to a fairly low level. And I think that those are the sorts of things that need to be done within the AFL-CIO, and I know how to do that. Well, I think anybody who doesn't sign their own paycheck should belong to a union. Ever since the advent of the HR department, any employee, whether they're professional employees like the ones we represent, or the ones who are traditionally thought of as union employees, whether on the shop floor or a factory worker or a hospital worker or in a classroom, they need unions. And the institution called the AFL-CIO needs to be as strong and as relevant as the organizations, the affiliates that belong to the AFL-CIO. And again, right now it's in a critical time. And I think that a lot of us, we look at our own unions and we hope the AFL-CIO will somehow survive. But I think there needs to be more of a dedicated effort towards making sure that that institution is viable and relevant towards the affiliates that belong to it and the members that pay all of our wages and pay to make sure that organization thrives. This position is the Chief Financial Officer of the AFL-CIO. What we need right now is somebody who's got the proven critical financial skills to address the needs of the AFL-CIO. Their problems are twofold. One, we need to figure out a way out of the financial mess. Secondly, we need somebody in the number 2 position who is able to make the decisions and help the president in restructuring and in some ways streamlining the organization. To get rid of the redundancies, get rid of any overlap that exists between the AFL-CIO and its affiliates, and bring it to a place where it's an efficient and effective organization that works for the priorities of the affiliates and work toward addressing the mission of the organization. And the Secretary-Treasurer, I think, is perfectly poised to do that, while the President continues to be the main face and voice of the AFL-CIO. He or she is going to need a number 2 person who's loyal, which means not only just marching in step with the President, but also is willing to push back with alternative ideas, innovative solutions, and different ways of looking at things. Union leaders should be thinking about the sort of problems that the AFL-CIO has and who's got the best solutions and ideas in order to solve them. When I look at this, I sort of look at the model of our own union, and being a very membership-driven, affiliate-driven organization where we hold costs down, where we're very decentralized as an organization. That's the sort of model that I think can work extremely well for the AFL-CIO. And in building our union, that's how we were able to not only fix our problem, but hold down dues and build power and build membership within our organization. That's the sort of solution, that sort of thing will work with the AFL-CIO. And that's what other people should be looking at when they look to see who can be the best secretary-treasurer, is who has faced these similar problems within their own organization, and have they solved them, and will those solutions work for the AFL-CIO? And in my situation, I think the answer to all of those is yes. I think we stand at a watershed moment in the labor movement in the United States. I think because of what we saw through the 2008 election, and maybe it started in the 2006 election, that people really saw the need to get together for a common goal and to speak with a common voice. And I think that that works through collective bargaining, where people join together to take action, to take collective action and operate through a collective voice. This is not only true with unions like mine, you know, where professional workers who never saw themselves as being part of a labor union now suddenly see that that's really the best answer for them. Once the Employee Free Choice Act is passed, we're going to see, I think, a major growth spurt in the private sector that's going to carry over to other fields within the labor movement. So really, I think we stand at the brink where we're going to have a dramatic increase in labor unions, in people joining labor unions, in youth coming into labor unions like we haven't seen in a long time, maybe before in our history. And so I see really it's just the brightest hope on the horizon for the labor movement in this country. One of the things that I think is critically important for us to take on as a labor movement in this country is career and skill building and lifelong learning. You know, they do this in Europe, it's almost second nature to them, and they do it in Southeast Asia, they're picking it up in South America. Here in the United States, we're not doing that. We concentrate on collective bargaining. But in order to preserve jobs, we need also to address the jobs of the future, you know, to make sure that our members and the workers who we're trying to get in, the potential members of our movement, have the skills necessary for the jobs of tomorrow. You know, so that's one of the things I think we really need to take on. But like a whole lot of things, you know, every idea doesn't come out of Washington, D.C. I think that this is something that really needs to be driven at the local level, and especially through the strength that we can muster through the central labor councils, working with community colleges. That's where this thing can really come to fruition, you know, and can really build. And you know, when I talk to people at the Central Labor Council level and at the state Fed level, one of the main things that they're interested is in reunification of the labor movement. They really want to see that happen. And that's something that I think that I can really bring to this job, you know, that I can work with these people. And I've got a good relationship with a lot of these people who have seen fit to leave the AFL-CIO. We need to bring them back together again. Not only again through the solidarity charters at the state and central labor council level, but also nationally. That really needs to be done. We all speak with one voice, with the united House of Labor in this country. And I think that's an essential role that I can bring to the job, and where I can help the president of the AFL-CIO reunite the labor movement. It's rather unusual for somebody to step forward and run against a slate of officers, you know, but that doesn't bother me, because I think that we need to sort of push back on the old way of doing things, you know, to look and say, maybe somebody else has got a better way, maybe there's better solutions, maybe there's new ideas that we should look at. As our workers face an evolving workplace, I think the institutions that represent those workers need to evolve right along with them. You know, so I think what I bring to this job is a new way of looking at things, some fresh ideas. And I just hope that labor leaders, when they're looking at picking the next Secretary-Treasurer, say to themselves, who can make Rich Trumka the best possible president? Who can help fix a lot of these problems that our institution you know, faces right now? And who can make the AFL-CIO a much stronger organization than it is? And I think, and I really believe, that I bring a lot of those skills to this job, and I hope they look at me favorably when they make these decisions.